Welcome to DMM Downloads. We are podcasting another conversation about DMM between Jeff Crabtree and me, Rudy Rivera. Jeff and I are teamed together in Northern Colorado in a ministry we call DMM NOCO. DMM NOCO is unleashing disciple-making movements in Northern Colorado, and we thought it a good idea to start a podcast as a way to bring awareness and resourcing to ordinary people who are passionate about making multiplying disciple makers in our natural networks. Thanks for joining us in this journey. We hope you get a DMM download from this conversation. Hey Jeff, we're back for another download.
Rudy, here we are, 2025.
Snowy Colorado. Just in case you don't know this, we sometimes record multiple episodes on the same time or around the same day even. And so today is one of those times, but you'll be hearing this whenever it releases. And hopefully it'll be a helpful download to you. We thought it would be helpful to talk about this tool that we use, this pathway that we use. You're catching our language here, pathway, tool. We call it habits training. Here we are, early January 2025, and we know if you're an American listening to this, we Americans like to talk about developing new habits, establishing new habits every new year. Sometimes they're called resolutions, blah, 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 blah. Okay, here we are though, 2025, we want to talk about habits training. And so with DMM, NOCO, the ministry we're talking about, we try to equip people for DMM, disciple making movement. I mean, the practical steps of it, essentially. Like, what does that even mean? Well, how do you become a disciple maker? We think the training we have with habits training is really good. We like it. We've developed it in part. We've mostly borrowed it, but we think it's a good resource. So we want to talk in this download, what is habits, why habits, and what do you like about habits? So Jeff, if that makes any sense, take it away.
Hopefully we can describe that. I'd probably just say that as I made my entrance in, if I could call it that, into the disciple-making movement world, I was being confronted and encouraged by the Lord, by the scriptures, by friends to take a look at what it really means to be a disciple maker, which was a little bit new for me anyway. Not that I didn't think I was a disciple and I led churches, but whole different emphasis on disciple making. As I bought into that, I realized I needed to be retrained or equipped so that I had the tools and the philosophy and the knowledge so that I could be a disciple maker. So when people begin to go, I want to get into DMM or I want to learn how to be a disciple maker, there has to be some way, some framework that helps you get equipped to do that.
Yeah.
And as you know, and if people are listening in, I'm a part of a global network called New Generations. And so I didn't develop this. I was trained by this, and you've been trained by it, and we train others with this. It was a clear pathway to know how to become a disciple maker, and our training is called Habits of a Multiplying Disciple. And I like that word habits, Rudy. Is like you say, it's the beginning of 2025. Everybody's realizing that they maybe need to make some resolutions, which means I need to identify some things I want to stop doing, some bad habits, or some things I want to start doing, good habits. And so really habits create our outcomes. Habits create our results. And so we train people on how to be a disciple maker with creating new habits that result in really us making an impact in the lost world and kind of a retooling for a new way to gospel.
Yeah, perfectly said. For me, when I was introduced to DMM, it was through habits training. Well, it was through some books, some reading. But then in addition to that, the practical boots on the ground, I want to put into practice this thing called disciple making movements. Habits is what you introduced me to. And I was on a call with people from all over the country, maybe like 20 something of us or so, maybe 15 to 20. And I remember being put in a breakout group on Zoom with a guy from California, and I think a guy from the Midwest, and maybe Florida, and then me, here in Colorado. And it was, for me, it was the first time being exposed to the habits of a multiplying disciple, the pathway training resource that we have. And the thing that I loved about it, I can talk a lot about habits. I really like habits. But one of the things I liked about it was the accessibility of it. It felt simple, if you will. It wasn't earth-shattering.
Sure.
But it was accessible. I remember doing it and thinking, anybody can do this. This isn't like
Right.
Rudy's got to go to the biggest gym in Fort Collins, and I'm intimidated, and I don't know how to use all the machines and the weights, and then you put me on a bench, and I have no clue how to bench press the correct way. I'm going to tear off a back muscle or something. In a gym setting, that can be intimidating for someone like me. Habits didn't feel intimidating. This felt like, hey, I know what I'm doing here.
Right.
But it's not easy in this sense. I mean, it's accessible, but you are challenged. It's a workout, if you will. It's a real practical step to becoming a disciple maker. And I think the other thing I'd say, and I want to hear what you have to say about this, but as the church in America talks a lot about discipleship, and we kind of differentiate discipleship and disciple making, but let's kind of put it in that umbrella, that kind of
Sure.
leaning in towards that language. I think everybody's talking about it, but I don't know if anybody knows what to do about it, what to do with it. And I think the habits of a multiplying disciple maker, that training is accessible and it's practical. It gives you a tool. If you want to be a disciple maker, even AKA a disciple, I think habits is super helpful. But anyhow.
No, I agree with you. I think, in a Western culture, so much of our equipping is head knowledge or facts or theology, and certainly anybody that's listening, I'm not despairing that. All of that is crucial, all that's important. But we get a lot of knowledge, but then we don't have a lot of application.
Yeah.
Or we would even call it maybe obedience in that. And the thing that I love about not only the habits training, but even just the title, habits, creating habits of a multiplying disciple. And you've heard me say, it's not just something now, years later, it's not just something I do, it's something that I am. It's so ingrained in me. So obviously there is scripture in our training and our equipping, there is theology, there is, those type of things, but it's really to help you become very practical by establishing habits, that these habits then enable and allow you to step into lostness and to be a missionary. That was another one we recorded today. And so we're really being disciple makers. It gave me confidence to step into a lost world. I was very comfortable in the church world. I've been in the church world a long time. I'm a pastor, it's my career. But to step out into lostness, into neighborhoods, and to step out where lost people were, I needed something to empower me, to give me confidence to know I knew what I was doing.
Yep.
And that's why I love our habits training.
Yeah, that's well said. I love habits training. So what is habits training? Like, you want to give a little brief overview of the habits training? Is that something you think could be helpful here?
You mean kind of our pathway?
Yeah.
Well, that might be a separate one where we can go over each one, but I would just simply say that the most important thing in our habits training is first getting ourselves aligned with the heart of God. Now, I think we could assume that because I'm a Christian, or I go to church, or I read my Bible, I'm aligned with the heart of God. I'm not so sure that's true, at least in my own experience, especially in regard to the lost people. You've heard me share the story that one time through the training, I got convicted that I didn't have God's heart for the lost. And so I didn't even know what that looked like. I didn't even know what that meant. But it was in our habits training that put me into an environment where that was being discussed. Do I have God's heart for the lost? And then how do I do that? So I guess that I would say, first and foremost, from a personal experience, our habits training helped me really contemplate, pray, be challenged to make sure that I have God's heart for the world and for the lost people around me. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps or not.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Well, what else do you want to say about habits? Because I think I want to take a little bit of time, make sure we hit on some of the places you can get habits training in Northern Colorado.
Yeah.
But, anything else you'd want to say about
Yeah, I hope you do that so some people will hear this, and again, we can have more discussion about it. But it's like, it's not only what, it's how. What are we supposed to be doing as followers of Jesus? What are we supposed to be doing as disciples? What are we supposed to be doing as disciple makers? But then how do you do it? I didn't know how to. I'll be honest. I mean, I knew local church like the back of my hand. I could do it in my sleep. I'd done it for 40 years. So, but I didn't know how to be a disciple maker.
Yep.
I never went to, I went to Bible college, not seminary, and many on here will listen. They're maybe they've not gone to school, but they've been to Bible college or seminary. But I never took a class on how to be a disciple maker. What habits do I need to create? So I guess just the emphasis is if you're out there and you're wanting to tap into or tiptoe into the disciple making world, going through our habits training, which would be, really no cost, just the cost of your time and interest. Man, Rudy will tell you more about how to do that. We'd love to encourage you to be exposed to our habits training, and it'll give you some language and some concepts and some paradigm to empower you to be a disciple maker in 2025.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that. That's a good next step if people are listening. If you're here, we hope that you're here leaning into habits and leaning into disciple-making movement. I want to say something, or can you say something about the material itself in the sense that because we're talking about habits training, that tool, I guess I'm going to kind of lead the witness here a little bit, but it's tested material. It's kind of proven. It's been used for a long. This isn't something you and I crafted a couple of days ago and threw together. And we've influenced some of the training we do locally, but globally, this is not our material. We just love it. So do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, kind of the origin of the
a little
training,
bit, just in a few minutes here.
Yeah, they're and we won't go too far into this, but there are Book of Acts movements going on all around the world.
Yeah,
and many of them are on the continent of Africa, and it's just our brothers and sisters over there that leaned into learning how to be disciple makers that have created what we call church planting movements or disciple making movements. It was really them taking a look into the scriptures. What did Jesus do? How did Jesus live? What did Jesus accomplish? And to do that, and this training came out of their work in being disciple makers and creating disciple making movements. So they kind of crystallized it and then kind of, if you will, imported it. Again, I'm with a group called New Generations. And so we've taken that, it's been imported to us, and then we have felt it's so important, it's so prudent, it's so good, it's that every follower of Jesus can do it. So that's what we've adopted. So the origin wasn't us. It was really from 25, 30 years ago, as I understand it, of these disciple-making movements around the world, especially on the continent of Africa, that are seeing tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of new baptized believers and tens of thousands of new churches. So, if it works, it works. It's biblical, it's biblical. If it shows the way of Jesus, then it shows the way of Jesus.
Okay, that makes me think too. And I've never been to Africa. My wife has. You have. Can you speak a little bit to the paradigm shift that might need to take place in most Westerners or North Americans? Because you just said, I'm glad you said it, the origins of the training itself really comes a lot from the East, and so kind of came over to the West, imported. There does seem to be some time or some shifting that needs to take place in most of us as we interface habits training. If you're listening to the podcast, you're thinking about, I want to be a disciple maker in 2025. You want to learn practical steps to do that. We're promoting habits training as a good way to take that step, to step into those waters. But we do think there's probably some paradigm shift that will take place. Can you say something?
Yeah, we might want to do a session on paradigm shifts that need to take place. I think the biggest thing for us, and with habits, is it's not knowledge-based, it's obedience-based, which we call obedience-based discipleship versus knowledge-based. So yeah, you have to, if you're interested, we'd love to get you exposed to it, but realize what it's going to do is help you actually put into your life habits, not just head knowledge, but habits that create opportunities for you to maybe gospel in a new way, how to step into lostness, to see the work of Jesus expand not only in you, but through you. So there's a paradigm shift that we're not just trying to fill your head with new information or new knowledge or new theology, but we want to help you then take those things from the scriptures, the life of Jesus, and then put them, to obey them and to put them into practice, into your own habits, so that we see fruitfulness for the cause of Christ.
So if you're listening to this podcast, this download, and you hear the Lord downloading into you, or you've been hearing the Lord say, I want to use you, you have that sense of, I want to be a worker in the kingdom, I want to be a disciple maker, then I think it's time. A good next step is jump into the habits training with us. Now, a couple of ways you could find it. So we do have a self-paced habits training course on our website, dmmnoco.com. It's under our courses tab. That's designed, it's all the habits training that we're talking about, but it's designed for you to do that at your own pace, in your own space, if you will, with the Lord. There's homework involved. There's some steps of obedience. And to Jeff's point, it's not just knowledge, it's really obedience and action. But it is limited in the sense that it's mostly you, right? Now, we do encourage you to share that with other people, maybe even invite some other people into that training with you while you do it online. But it's there, and you can take it, and we think it's helpful. We also recommend taking or signing up for a group session. So maybe you're a small group leader. Maybe you're just a parent. You want your family to lean into disciple making. You think, you look around the world, it's hurting, it's broken, and you want to make a difference. Here's a way to make a difference. Get in touch with us. Maybe you could do that through our website. You could sign up for some training by emailing us and things, or perhaps just get in touch with us and we can try to set up some one-on-one or some group training with you. We also have potentially some quarterly set trainings that we're going to be setting out here as we lead into probably more like the middle of 2025. But we'll keep you up to date here and through our website on those opportunities. But essentially, we have trainers ready to train interested people, or you can do the training yourself. Jeff, is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, no, just to clarify, so the way they would get in touch with us is to go to our website, dmmnoco.com.
Yep.
And they will find an opportunity to be able to get in touch with us, and then we can get back in touch with you, and we can get discussions and how could we help you, serve you to get exposed to our habits training.
That's right. So on the front page of the website, there's a contact us form. You can submit that and say, I'm interested in DMM habits training, or you can go through the courses form and there's a form there as well. So there's multiple ways through the website to contact us, but please do that if you're interested. We'd love to do that one-on-one, but even in group settings and things like that. So, okay, I think that's the download for today. Anything else?
Thanks, Rudy. No, it's great. We sure hope people will be interested and follow up.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff, for that engaging download. In DMM, we like to say that disciples are learners. I know I'm learning a lot from my conversations with you, Jeff. From all of us in DMM NOCO, we hope you got a DMM download from the conversation today. Don't forget to leave this podcast a review wherever you are listening online. If you found this conversation helpful, please head over to our site, dmmnoco.com, where you can find more content for your DMM journey, including a self-paced Habits of a Multiplying Disciple course. The course is designed to give you practical next steps to becoming a DMM practitioner and multiplying disciple maker. You can take that course for free at dmmnoco.com. We will be back next week with another engaging DMM download episode. Until then, may you hear from God through His Spirit and take simple steps of obedience in what you hear.